If you've ever felt overlooked, overworked, or underappreciated, and who hasn't, this episode might change everything for you.
Today, we're talking about two sneaky patterns that keep so many women over 50 from really thriving. These patterns are victimhood and martyrdom, and you just can't thrive until you let them go.
I'm Sally, and this is my big sister Dana. And today we are going to talk about this, victimhood, martyrdom. It's big stuff for women,
It is big stuff, and we think that it doesn't cause a problem.
but it does.
But but it does. It causes a big
Yeah.
problem. We get over 50, of course, we gain wisdom and all this stuff, but a lot of us are carrying, like, these huge backpacks of habits that really hold us back, and two of the biggest are victimhood and martyrdom. And if you, uh, are you know if you do them.
Yeah. And, for many women, these are actually what I'm going to call survival strategies of power. Meaning that a lot of times we didn't feel like I know growing up, sometimes I didn't feel like I could be really direct in my power and just kind of
Yeah.
state what I wanted and state what I needed. And so I could use victimhood to get my needs met by being a little bit like, "Oh, this isn't going my way or this isn't going right." And in that, it was a way to get kind of attention and to get people and to get power from other people, but it didn't really it served me temporarily, but long term, it really ends up just draining us, and it's not a strategy we wanna hold on to. It doesn't
Well, and
really work.
think about
Yeah,
martyrdom too.
yeah,
Martyrdom really means that I'm not important enough,
yeah.
or, I'm not powerful enough,
Mhm.
instead of like, "Oh, I'm all that, and of course people wanna show up," or whatever, you know? When we move into martyrdom, it really is manipulative. So is
Mhm.
victimhood. It's
Yeah,
a way to manipulate instead of honestly, coming forward in empowered energy that feels good where people want to be around us. It's a very different energy, and people feel it. We feel it. But the reason that we do it is because it feels like the only way.
yeah. And I know for me, I think when I felt most victimy in my life is when I had 2 little children, and I was home with them. And I felt like I never had a me moment. It felt all-consuming,
Yeah.
and my husband worked he commuted, so he was gone, early in the morning till late at night, and I just felt very much alone, and woe is me, and nobody was coming to help me, and, I just had these 2 kids dangling off of me all day long, and,
Oh,
I would go into that victim place of kind of like, well, like I've got it so hard. Maybe if I complain enough and I'm a victim enough, then somebody's going to step up and come in and save me from this. And that's a really like unproductive strategy to get my needs met. It really was, but it was all I had at the time.
yeah,
And
because nobody's going to truly save us. They might
no,
help out. They might come and like put a band-aid on something, but that save stuff is not for somebody else to do.
yeah, you know what I'd find is I would get with other moms, and instead of us coming up with like strategies of how to help each other, which would have been really proactive, like maybe on Monday you could take my kids, and Tuesday, I could. We didn't do any of that. We just sat around and we complained about how our husbands weren't helping us. It was such a strategy that didn't really solve the problem, but it felt kind of good. It felt kind of good to just get into that
Huh.
kind of victimy, complaining, just mentality.
Yeah, and it happened to me too when I was
Yeah,
in my early 30s. Oh my gosh, I had friends who I thought I trusted who really betrayed me, and it was professionally, it really did a number on me. And I just became a victim about it. And boy, I wish I hadn't, because I wasted so many years of my life. Because here the thing is, I was kind of justified, you know?
yeah, you really
They,
were. I
yeah,
remember the whole situation. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, they did me wrong. But you know what? But people are going to do us wrong sometimes. It's just going to happen. If you're being a victim of a martyr, you know it. And is it working for you? And I
yeah,
say, here's the way you find out. Look at your life. How's your relationship? How's your relationships? How's your money? How's your career? All of that stuff, right?
yeah,
If that's going great and you're still a victim or a martyr, then you've gamed the system, and good on you.
yeah.
But by and large, that's impossible, and if you look at your life and things aren't where you want them to be, and you're engaging in victimhood or martyrdom, there's a connection there.
Yeah. And you think about, so there really is that connection that while you were doing that, think of what you could have been focusing your energy
Oh,
on that would have
oh,
moved you forward. I mean, and me too. I mean, and all of us either, we have, some of us are big, big victims and martyrs, and some of us are smaller ones, in different areas of our lives. But anyway, you look at it, it is really stealing our energy from coming up with, like I said, practical solutions, ways to move forward, directing our energy at things that really are going to empower us. But it's an easy trap to fall into, but we can't waste another minute at this point in our lives, falling into that trap. It's
I
just
mean, that
not
is the
worth
truth.
it. Yeah.
Like, if you're over 50 and you're still engaging in victimhood or martyrdom, stop.
Yeah.
I mean,
Or
just cut it out.
yeah.
That was the big aha for me. It says, like, "What do you do instead? How do you change this?" I think for me, it was that aha moment of, like, my life has I was about to say is going into a ditch, is already in a ditch. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And I had to I realized in that moment that I had what I call a victim monster. And this was not a little victim monster. This was
You had
like
a
a
big victim monster.
ginormous, like a Shrek size, like victim monster. And that I had been feeding this victim monster,
Mhm.
like constantly, like on baked potatoes
The
and
really good stuff.
and mac and cheese. And and you know what? It just got bigger and bigger and bigger and then demanded more and more food. So there's that thing too. The more you do it, like the more you feel like a victim, the more you actually feel victimized, right?
Yeah.
And that's great stuff to feed the victim monster. And so it just gets bigger and bigger. And at some point I went, "Oh, what am I doing?" And I said, "I have to stop.
Yeah.
Like now, I cannot feed this monster anymore." So when something would happen, and it did happen still for a while, that felt like victimy to me, I'd have to be like, "All right, we're just not doing that anymore. We're just
Yeah.
not doing that anymore. It's okay. I'm letting it go because it's going to change. Because my victim monster, as I don't feed it, is going to shrink."
Mhm.
Which over
Yeah.
time it did, but it went kicking and screaming.
It didn't like it at all, I'm
It
sure,
didn't.
because, there's a lot of power in it, and I liken the whole idea, like, if you are a victim or a martyr, you're on one end of a spectrum, and empowerment is on the other end. It's like opposite poles of the same thing, just like hot and cold are the opposite. So what we really want is we want power. I mean, personal power. We wanna be able to move our lives forward in a direction that we wanna go into, and the only strategy that maybe we learned or that we are, familiar with, that's way down here on this victim end of the spectrum. But what we want to do is we really want to be able to empower our lives and move forward in a way that really works from us from the inside out. And so the idea is we want to step ourselves further and further in this direction. And we know it. We know by the way it feels inside of us which way we're going, whether we're
Yeah.
going back to victim or if we're going toward empowerment. And that awareness is really the first step that's important that we catch that.
And if you realize that this is a non-negotiable situation,
Mhm.
if you want your life to get better,
Yeah.
and listen, you may not engage in this at all and you're moving forward, great, great. We're just saying, if you got some bad habits you're dragging into this stage of your life, um, wow, like
Yeah.
it is imperative, it is urgent to
Yeah,
clean
I
that
kind
stuff
of
up.
visualize you, when you said that, like you have this big like sack over your over you and you're dragging this stuff in, and it's like, okay, we got to unpack this stuff because it's holding us back. It is dragging us down. And we don't need these anymore. There are better ways to move our life forward.
But you also have to ask yourself, what are you trying to accomplish with this?
Yeah.
Like what need are you trying to get met? It's like, what if you have a son who you want to come home from college because you miss him and you're giving him a guilt trip?
Are you
I'm not
talking
saying
about
you
me?
No, I'm not saying
I'm kidding. No, because
No,
it's funny because I do both my sons are in college, but, like, "Oh, they're not coming home." You can feel victimy, like, "Nobody's loving me."
but maybe that's not the person who's gonna meet those needs in that phase of that person's life, Maybe it's and maybe it's not so much about what we get, but what we give, and then
Yeah.
then maybe volunteer or go do something that's really fun for you. Get self-centric, like, do what lights you up, and then then,
Yeah.
people of like minds will come around and you'll feel fulfilled.
I think that that's true. Like start maybe there's a hobby that you've never really considered. Maybe there's a side business, something you want to play around with. Maybe they're new friendships. There are all kind of things that we could pour our power into, our time, our energy, instead of just focusing on what other people maybe aren't giving us. And like you said, by starting to give, we're going to open up a whole new world to ourselves.
As you know, I've
Yeah.
worked with actors for like a decade.
Yeah.
And one that's a great one too. Let's say you're, over 50, you are doubling down on this acting career,
Mhm.
but you've had so many experiences that happen that aren't really going that didn't go your way that it made you feel like a victim around it.
Yeah.
Right? And then you start bringing that energy into whatever it is that you really want to blossom, acting whatever it is. And that is so toxic. Right, because this is a time where you really have to let all that stuff go in order for that thing that's important to you to start to flow. Because it
Yeah.
won't flow while you're still identifying as victim or martyr. It just won't.
It's like blocking. It's like a dam,
It's
blocking
like
the
right,
flow.
it's a
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And so to sum this up though, the thing we gotta do first is we gotta catch it. We gotta be like, where am I on the spectrum? Am I in this victim martyrdom place? And, where do I wanna be?" And then we've gotta quit, like you said, quit feeding the monster. We gotta be really conscious of what we're doing. And then the last thing is like what we were saying is you gotta say, "What need am I trying to get met from this?" And then meet that need directly. Goes directly into that instead of looking for somebody else to meet it for you by
yeah,
playing the victim or being the martyr. But maybe, you need your own love, approval, recognition that you literally need to give to yourself and that you
yeah.
need to energize in your own life. And
And the
so
more we give ourselves those things, that
yeah,
self-love, right, that self-worth, recognition, the more it really will start to come to us from outside sources.
yeah. It becomes like a loop and it starts to show up in our life internally and externally for sure. So tell us about the tool that you use that really helped you get through your most victim-y time of your life and how that
Uh,
changed everything.
well, how it gets
Yeah.
through every part of my life is
Yeah.
tapping.
Yeah.
Every part of my
Every
life.
part.
But absolutely,
Yeah.
I was able to release victimhood through tapping because tapping is a modality that where you tap on meridian points on your body and you can rewire your energy. It's That's the simplest way to say it, and it really works. It really works.
Yeah.
You tap, not as much as I
Yeah.
tap, but you
It's
you tap.
It's really it's very simple. It looks a little funny when you first start, like, "Why am I doing this?" But the thing that I noticed when I started tapping is that it brought me, like, center, present in my life, and
Yeah.
where I could really look at the thing, whatever it was that I wanted to, help move forward in my life or dissolve, it helped me get really clear about what it was. The minute I started tapping, everything calmed down, slowed down, and I was able to see it all more clearly. And then by doing the tapping, it just helps move the energy. And it's just like, it's crazy how it changes you when you use it. When you use it, like anything, you got to
Yeah,
do it.
I use it every day,
Yeah.
because I realize it's one of those things for me that did I guarantee you I never would have gotten a book published had
Mhm.
I not tapped. Had I not
Yeah.
tapped specifically on this, and that is why in the next video, I'm gonna
Yeah.
lead you through a tap if you wanna join me so that you can if you've got any of this energy going and you wanna let go of it, and that's cool, and it's cool that it's there, it's not a big deal, it's just what it is. This is something that has become a habit. Come with me and let's do some tapping to help let it go.
Yeah, absolutely. I've started really focusing in again on tapping, and I immediately have noticed a difference.
Yeah, it's great
It really is a powerful and simple tool. So
and
can't
simple
wait to
tool.
see your tap on this.
Okay, I'll be doing
Okay,
it. All right,
okay,
well, thank you for joining us today. Yeah, let us know if this resonates.
yeah.
It seems like we're talking about how to really thrive after 50, and sometimes that means looking at the things that are holding us back from that.
Yeah, so please in the comments put down maybe have you been a victim or a martyr, and maybe what's something that you're gonna play around with, a strategy you may use to move you into a different direction. We'd love to hear that from you.
Beautiful. All
Yeah.
right, we'll see you next time, and
Okay.
come
Take
tap with
care.
me.